gentlemen, welcome to Paul's Little Room. This is just going to be a quick take of the HD490 Pro headphones by Sennheiser. Now, these are not a replacement to the HD660S2 or the HD660S or the 650 or the 600, but they are a successor too. You can still buy all of those headphones brand new through Sennheiser. Now, this is going to be a very quick review today because I'm not making any comparisons other than with my own pair of 660Ss. I'm just trying to get this out there so that I can put a very quick, quick 1 week's listening opinion, and then I'm going to do more advanced, more substantial comparisons with other brands in a longer, more edited review at a later basis. Okay, so let's just very quickly get into the box. I love this box. This is one of the nicest boxes of any of the headphones that I've reviewed or owned. It's a handy size. It's got it's relatively large. If you compare it to the Focal Batiste, I like this box. It's not massive, but what I love about this box, professionally, you open it up, it's got really nice graphics, it's got a, they've not gone overboard with non-recyclable materials, so clearly you can recycle this, but there's all the information you need and none of the information you don't need. So, but what they do is they show you that it's got extra pads on the back, and it does say absolute accuracy on the back, engineered to handle all the complexities of today's music production. All-day comfort, lightweight and flexible with ergonomics that eliminate pressure points. We'll have to see about that. Long-term reliability, handcrafted and German engineered with built-to-last components. And then that's all it says. The rest is just in other languages. So you've got a nice picture here. Let's open this up. And the reason I love this box is... oh, frequency graphs, but it doesn't have them on the outside. On the outside it's business-like. It does have a does have frequency graphs here. It shows a little bit of the grill through here, a bit of the pad material through here, and but what's great is you can put your headphones around, so in here. You can travel with this box, and you don't need to use an alternative travelling carry case. This works very well as a recyclable travel case, really. So I open this up. It shows off the headphones here. Again, recyclable card, but I don't know. There's something really good, really nicely thought out about the whole thing. You have your spare pads here, so at the moment you can see these are very nicely held in, almost like eggs, but the headphones are very nicely protected in there. And at the moment I've installed the cloth pads, and they also come with these velour pads. Now the velour pads, I was really surprised how similar these headphones sound to my 660Ss. These come across as slightly warmer in the sub bass. They've got more of a kick in the sub bass. I don't know if it's to do with these pads being better than the ones which came with the 660Ss. These are ones. These are replacement pads I've got on these, but the original pads are very squashed with age. They were velour, and maybe it could be the fact that these are brand new and they've got a lot of life in them, but they are slightly different. They feel slightly, I would say they are slightly flatter on the ear. I think there's a little bit more curved area inside. They seem a bit more airy compared to the original pads that came on the 660S. Sealing wise, they click on in exactly the same way. So any pads you put on these just clip off really easily. They click on, and because there's a little band on here, and it seals quite nicely indeed. You've got a very simple professional cable in here. You've just got a 3.5 to 6.25 screw on jack there, and there's nothing else in the box. So the cable, what kind of length is it? My favourite cable length is 2 meters, so let's see what length this is. Ha ha ha, 2 meter cable, perfect. But it's got this little, look at that, it's got a little coil, just in case you accidentally tug it. You know, you're walking nearby to your recording equipment, and you accidentally do that with the headphones, and it just, you know, that bit of strain relief. That's very clever. You don't have a big heavy coil. This isn't an excessively thick cable at all. This is a relatively light, and for recording studio headphones, this is a very light headphone cable. If you look at the cable which came with the 660S, it's about the same, which I like. You know, it's just rubber, but it's very ergonomically adequate. Now this has a mini XLR on one end. This is it's got 4 pins, a mini 4-pin XLR. So that's great. That means you can use a balanced amplifier if you need to. That's really good. One thing I do find interesting, there's a rubber blank on one side. So I think rather than this being an option, let me see if I take this out. Oh no, it comes out. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. It's double-sided. This is amazing. Well, for me it's exciting anyway. What this means, because this is a 4-pin XLR, you can actually run it from either side of the headphone. So you put these on. See, I'm very excited about this. Put these on, and let's say your recording equipment's on the left. You can just plug this in on the left. I'm saying easily, very secure, very comfortable. That is a very clever idea. Let's take this off, and then just like that, I think, oh wow, don't lose the bung that in there, plug this in here, and then I have it from that side. Sennheiser, I love you. It's really good, really good. So let's look at the build quality of the actual headphone. So it's about the same as the 600 series, you know, same in your hand, about the same weight. There's a little bit more metal on display. There's a metal band across here, and that's simply the band that it's, you know, that is creating the clamp force and the spring in the headband. On these, the band is internal. This is actually a plastic with metal, so the slider is metal. Very nice, and it feels the same. With this, the slider actually goes, it's inversed, so it's reversed. So as you can see, the metal is attached to the cup and the yoke, and you do that, and then here you actually have a plastic component and a pivot with the metal going across the middle. So, oh, that feels good. Very nice, very accurate. You know, it's got a good firm action. I think that's going to be very consistent indeed. Size-wise, let's have a look. If I make this its smallest, that's too small for me. So at its smallest, a child could wear this. So I think if I do 2 clicks either side, let's see what that does. perfect for me. So I've got a little head, so 2 clicks either side for me, and then these will go pretty massive. Yeah, those will go on a really large head. Maybe if you've got a gargantuan melon, these might be a bit small, but I think they're good. Now, padding wise, this is a lovely, you've actually got a velour padding with a split down the middle. This is also velour, starting to wear out, but the 600 series are a bit notorious for these pads going a bit floppy. So I've owned these from, not quite new, but I installed new pads, and this pad's gone squashy now. It's not really offering much much comfort anymore. So I put it on my head, and it's still comfortable because they're comfortable headphones. There's a good amount of clamp force. They're light, but you know, maybe if I was watching something on, you know, watching a movie, listening to a long piece of music, you know, this might start to feel a bit pressurized on top of my head after a while. But it's still, it's not bad because you've got these 2 separate pads here. It's still not bad. This having a new pad feels like the same material. So I think you might have the same issue after, maybe, from my experience, after about 7 months of use, you might need to get a new pad if you use these all the time. But these pads are easily replaceable, and when I say easily replaceable, ridiculous. This velcros on here, so very good. These pads, these are attached to a plastic piece of plastic tab, which you just pull out and then clip back in. So these take the win with regards to the pad replacement. Now, the pads which are on here at the moment are these, they're like a denim. It's very nice. It's a little bit scratchy, but these are put on here to change the sound. And very quick take is these have a little bit more treble information, a little bit less sub bass than with the velour pads. They don't change it massively, you know, there's not an absolutely night and day you know, change. One thing I have noticed a little bit as well is I found, for me, wearing glasses, there's a little bit more of a break to the seal wearing these. It's still lovely and soft, and wearing my glasses is still absolutely fine, but I noticed there's a little bit more of a difference when I'm wearing these and I move them around my head, you know, adjust these around my head. With these pads, a little bit more of an adjustment, getting them exactly where I want them to is a bit harder. Whilst with the velour pads, I find that they're sitting better on my head and they're conforming more to my jawline and my glasses frames. So that's something worth you know, bearing in mind. So back to the left and right, this has a very deep embossed kind of on the cloth inside the cup. You've got an L and an R. I don't think there's any other marking on the headphone. No, so that might be a potential problem if these cloth inserts have worn out, or if you got aftermarket pads, you would have to bear that in mind. You'd have to mark them somewhere. So also the fact that these clip out, I'll just show you how these clip out, just like that. It's got a proprietary system. You can get aftermarket pads which use that system. I would just stick with these pads. They're very good. And the fact that you have the 2 alternative, actually let's swap this over. So just like this, and it's on, bam, just like that. It's so handy. As professional headphones, you know, if you want convenience, quickly alter the sound a little bit, quickly replace, you know, you might have some spare pads because multiple people are listening in on a recording session, and maybe it's warm weather, you want to swap out the pads if they're a bit sweaty. Just like that, done. So convenient. Just like that. Now, swivel-wise, this is all the way. If you look at these, there's only a small amount of swivel, which might be problematic if someone has a very large head. And then tilt, there's only a relatively small amount of tilt. It's still enough for me, but again, if you have a large head, that's going to greatly reduce the amount of tilt. Looking on these, oops, sorry, my microphone's in the way. It's this way, you've got a bit more pivot, a little bit more pivot, but this is all the way. And they go flat both directions, which I don't think I've seen that in many headphones at all. Most headphones, even portable headphones, will go flat on one side and then they stop, but these go all the way around. And it does feel very smooth. It's very smooth indeed. So there's probably metal bushings in here, and not just the plastic. Otherwise, I think it'd squeak. Very good. You know, ergonomically, these take the win. Sound-wise, these, I would say, are slightly more versatile than these. With the 660Ss, they are fantastic for electronic music, any music which has a punch in the music. These are fantastic for. Otherwise, they are presented with a bit of a bass roll-off. So there's a wonderful, clean, I would say almost citrusy. These have a very elegant, beautiful sound. If you have vocals, female vocals, these do a really good job. And any instruments, let's say violins and anything high up in the register, these pick out the detail. They have a sweetness to them, which I really enjoy. Warmth wise, they do have a good amount of warmth in the mid bass, but the sub bass is rolled off. So I do find that if I'm listening to music, let's say with cellos in it, with bass tones, but natural bass tones, so let's say a bass guitar, or let's say jazz, then I tend to EQ these to up the sub bass a bit. Now, going on to the 490s, let me see, yes, so on here you actually see the difference between the ear pads which are provided. The producing ear pads are the velour ones, I do believe, and they do add a bit more of a hump, a bit more of a sub bass hump, and the mixing ear pads are more evened out, less of a boost. And I would say that those are similar in sound to these with the mixing pads. With these velour pads on, these just they really sing with rock music, and I would say really fast electronic music actually starts to struggle with these pads. Listening to really fast electronic music, I would actually listen with these pads, and these are then comparable. But if you're listening to modern or classic rock music with fast guitar notes, then these are absolutely fantastic. I think these take the win easily with rock music over these. Now, if you have a pair of the original HD600s, they really do sound quite thin in the sub bass compared to these, in either of these. I would say those take the win in classical music genres. So if you're listening to large orchestral numbers, then the 600s still slightly take the win with the level of imaging and detail with orchestral pieces. But then again, as soon as wood instruments come out, these are fantastic. I think these have more drama and more impact with those wood instruments, with the deep wood instruments. And so these are more versatile. I found myself happily listening to Led Zeppelin with these. I was listening to Sheryl Crow. I was listening to Pink Floyd, the Beatles, and then I've been listening to lots of pop music with these. Fantastic. I tend to still prefer, just slightly, really slightly, singer-songwriter music on these because the vocals are just slightly further forwards in the mix. I mean, literally just a slight amount because of the difference in the sub-bass definition. And these, again, they just have a slightly sweeter sound. These are by no means dry sounding. These have a lot of, for professional headphone, these have a lot of sweetness to the sound, a lot of warmth, but also a lot of, I would say, characterful texture to the sound, which I was really impressed with. There are two albums, for some reason, which just sound amazing with these. La Rue. The vocals in this album can be a little bit sharp, a little bit peaky, but there's an electronic punch mixed with the positioning of the vocals. It works amazingly with these. Another album which sounds really good with these, another electronic album with some rock sounds later on in the album, Gem, Finally Woken. I would say the first track called They, it's quite polyphonic, and you've got lots of different vocals, you've got a very punchy bass, but you've got everything is very, very, it's difficult to express. It's a sound you couldn't get with speakers. This is designed for headphones, this album. You've got this wonderful spreading of all these different sounds, and they come across beautifully with these. With these, there's a little bit more of an emphasis to the bass tones, and there's a punch to the secondary vocals, which makes these very exciting, but they are, I would say, slightly too engaging to be relaxing at times, if that makes sense. Finally, the final comparison, if you go to some singer-songwriter music, so I really love Katie Melua, and her music, very simple. You've got a warm bass, you've got a acoustic guitar, and you've got her voice. Beautiful, simple. Vocally, these are both exquisite, but I would say the 660S just for me takes the win with the vocals, but only with EQ. That's an interesting one. If you don't EQ these, then these are the winner across the board, everything. Lots of people don't like using EQ anyway, and if you don't like using EQ, these are the better pick, the better headphone. You've got you've got a bit more drama across the board in, with your bass tones. You still have that nice liveliness to the treble. It's not quite as sweet as with these, but these are really an all-rounder. And without doing EQ, these have just enough sub and mid bass emphasis. But the vocals are still fantastic. They've still got a naturalness to. I think that's a Sennheiser thing. There are other brands who do vocals really well, but Sennheiser headphones, their professional range, they're very good at doing vocals, and these are no exception. So there you go. I've only done a very quick comparison to a few different genres. I'm going to do a more extensive comparison with these headphones and with some other headphones, and with a more heavily edited video at a later time. So that's it for today. Thank you very much. Goodbye.